never know which way to look on these things. I think if I look there, that's better. Okay, hi everybody. I'm back. And it's arrived. Here's the book, Mythologica. Looks totally cool. Look at that. I've also bought this. This is King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table. It's got cool illustrations in it as well by Aubrey Beardsley. Have to ask Mrs. Varty all about him, but yeah, that's another cool book. But today I'm going to be reading from this one. I'll just show you the contents page briefly, so you can see. I guess it's more of a non-fiction book. It's an encyclopedia more than a storybook. There are some stories in it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 myths. So you've got the 12 labours of Heracles, the Odyssey, the Trojan War and the Argonauts. And the rest are kind of fact files really about a range of different gods. But not just the gods, monsters and mortals as well. Because everybody knows most of the Greek gods, let's be honest, but you may not know too much about Cassandra, for example. So we'll look at those mortals as well. Right, today I thought we would look at the two chief gods. So that's Zeus and his wife Hera. Okay, so the pictures are so cool. Right, so Zeus. I'll just show you a nice close-up of the illustration there. There he is. Zeus. Zeus, king of the gods, god of the sky, lightning, thunder, law, order and justice. Oh, by the way, I've made up a Quizlet, which I'll have to tell you what the link is to get to it. A Quizlet based on Zeus and also Hera. And I've also done some Quizlets on tier 2 vocab, so all the words that we've learnt across the terms, like words like pranced and derelict and things like that. Saffron, they're all on there in the Quizlet as well, so you can test yourself and see if you can remember what they all mean and things. So yeah, anyway, back to Zeus. So he lives on Mount Olympus. He has many names. He was called the Cloud Gatherer, Counselor, the Bearer of the Aegis, I think you pronounce it Aegis, which is a magical goatskin cloak decorated with golden tassels, which he used to terrify his enemies. I mean, I find that odd that a goatskin cloak with gold tassels on is used to terrify his enemies. To me, it sounds pretty glorious, you know. I like the sound of that. Anyway, he's also the avenger of evil deeds, the giver of favourable wind, and the saviour. His will, which he signalled by nodding his head, was the same as the will of fate. So he would kind of go, and then that was it. Decision made. The father of gods and the father of men. He was the king of all the gods. His parents, right, you might not have known this, and I only learnt this when I started doing classical studies, when I started secondary school. His parents were the Titans. So the Titans were the gods before there were gods. They were the kind of creators of the world. So his parents, his father was called Kronos, and his mother was called Rhea. But he had to battle against his father to assert his authority, and also he had quite a lot of fights with his sister, I believe, and her name, she's also in the book, her name is Gaia. And she, Gaia is essentially what people in other cultures would refer to like the Mother Earth. But for the ancient Greeks, she was a primordial goddess of the earth. Okay, so that's Gaia there. So we'll find out more about her later. Anyway, Zeus had quite a lot of fights with her. But in the end, he became the permanent ruler of the universe. He was a mature, bearded, powerful man. He carried all the symbols of a mighty ruler. He had a thunderbolt. Now this is where you start to see lots of similarities with other gods, ancient gods from other cultures. So you think of a god with a thunderbolt, you might think of perhaps Odin, the Viking king of the gods. And also Zeus, one of his, so he had his thunderbolt, but he also, the eagle was his sort of symbol as well. And that's also a little bit like Odin, who I believe had ravens or crows. Anyway, and he had a crown. There was a beautiful boy who was called Ganymede, who served him nectar and this stuff called ambrosia, which is it was known as the food of the gods. Ambrosia. And when he was sitting on his throne, there was a goddess called Themis, and she was the goddess of law and order. So I guess she was like his advisor, really. So he was a god of the sky and the weather. He controlled the thunder and the lightning, which again is also similar to Odin. He was the head of all the gods and lived on Mount Olympus. He was also the protector of the household, hospitality and oaths. He could make, so this is interesting, he could make people famous or he could make them obscure. So that means make them in like nothing. So he could make a famous person into somebody obscure, or he could make an obscure person famous, I guess depending on what kind of mood he was in. He could make weak people strong and strong people humble, and he could crush the proud and make crooked things straight. Zeus is the air, Zeus is the earth, and Zeus is the sky. Zeus is all things and everything that is more than these. Now, next bit you'll know about this, guys. The awesome statue of Zeus at Olympia was one of the 7 wonders of the world. I'm guessing it was because I don't believe it's there anymore. It was made of gold and ivory and showed him sitting on his throne wearing a cloak decorated with animals and lilies and holding a figure of, you're like this, Nike. She was the goddess of victory, and he had his staff with the eagle perched upon it. Okay, so Zeus was married to his sister and long-term partner Hera. Now their children were quite a few. So these are the children he had with Hera. Hebe, she was the goddess of youth. Ares, the war god, and how you pronounce this, I'm not sure. Eileithyia. She's the goddess of childbirth. But Zeus also had lots of other children with other women, such as the 9 muses. Now they're in this book. Artemis and Apollo, Heracles, Helen, and Dionysus, not to be confused with Dionysius, who is the tyrant in Syracuse. Now I believe all those people I've mentioned are in this book, so we'll find out about them later. So I like this bit in bold at the bottom. It says, which meant that he and Hera were always arguing, which is quite funny. Okay, I'm gonna stop this now and I'll do Hera on the next one. Bye.